Today we're going to be discussing how to develop psychic abilities. This is a massive topic and I have pages and pages of notes today, so I have no idea how long this video is going to be, but I promise you that however long it is going to be packed with information. I'm going to try to break up these topics into different timestamps, but essentially we're going to be talking about some mental blocks that may be hindering you from developing your gifts or abilities, and also 5 ways that you can begin to enhance your psychic abilities. I personally believe that every single person on this planet has psychic abilities. Our brains are incredibly complex. We don't even remotely understand what they can do and the full capacity of that. So I do believe that everyone has these psychic abilities present. It really just depends on the individual whether they want to develop them or not. There are times where you come across a person who is just naturally extremely gifted in a certain area without really having to try too hard, but there is a level of practice still necessary for those people that are just naturally gifted. So anybody can develop psychic gifts. I just wanted to put that disclaimer out there. This isn't any sort of elitism or thinking that we are better or higher or whatever, superior to other humans who don't possess psychic abilities, because we all have that ability. It really just depends on how hard you want to work to possess these psychic abilities and really develop them so you can control them in your environment. There are many different psychic abilities and skill sets out there that an individual might possess, and this video is not going to be an exploration of all the psychic abilities that exist on this planet. Eventually I would love to do a video on the study of different psychic abilities that a person might possess. If you're interested in that, definitely comment down below and let me know, because the study of all these gifts is absolutely fascinating. But today, again, as I've mentioned, we're going to be focusing more on the practical applications of how to develop those psychic abilities. But just for a frame of reference, there is claircognizant, clairsentient, clairaudient. There's mediumship, where you can speak with spirits. There is astral projection. There is psychic abilities within divination systems. So there's many. There's a lot. But for reference in this video, I would like to clarify that I do possess all of the clairs, with claircognizant being my strongest one. I am also a medical intuitive, and I am a budding medium with the ability to hear and work with spirits. So that is where my personal perspective is coming from on this video, and I'm going to be sharing with you my personal practices of what has really helped me to develop my abilities over time, over the past however many years I've been practicing now. So I hope that some of these practices are going to be really helpful for you and actually be useful. Sometimes I get frustrated when people are giving advice to others about how to develop psychic abilities and it's not practical information. It's more like, be patient, stay open, etc. Okay, now I'm rambling, but although that is great advice, sometimes you're like, okay, but what do I do? What do I actually do? So we're going to discuss that next. The first thing that we need to discuss is mental blockages and deconditioning your mind. There are some things that really hinder a person's ability to develop psychic gifts further, because there is typically some sort of mental block there that's not allowing them to move further, to really push past that next point. So there are a couple different things that I would like to discuss as far as mental blockages go. That's what this next little bit is going to be about. And the first mental block, by the way, the sun keeps shining through my window in and out, so I apologize for the lighting. It is going to be really weird today. But anyways, the first one is fear. Fear is the first mental block, and this is something that you would need to do quite a bit of introspection to find out where that fear is coming from. You can't be a medium if you're afraid to talking to ghosts. Plain and simple. If you are scared of the unknown, or scared of your own abilities, or scared of thinking that you might be going mad, I mean, there is valid fear in that, but I encourage you to do some introspection to see where that fear is truly coming from, and you're going to need to address that fear before you can move forward with building your psychic abilities. The second mental block is doubt. There is a lot of doubt when you are first starting your practice, building your psychic abilities, because you're wondering, am I going crazy? Is this real? Am I living in a fantasy world? Am I lying to myself? Am I just making this up? There's all these levels of doubt. Do psychic abilities even exist? And I want to encourage you to look at the conditioning of the society that you currently live in. Typically, our society likes likes to pre-program us to believe that these abilities don't exist. And that does hinder the development of these psychic abilities. You really do need to work to decondition your mind and to remove that doubt and to have a leap of faith. Take a leap of faith and say, I don't have all the answers right now, and that's okay. But I do want to encourage you also, if you feel like you are going crazy or you're going mad or you have any concerns regarding your mental health, please, please, please seek out a licensed healthcare professional. That is first and foremost. Please make sure that you are talking to somebody if you ever have any concerns regarding your mental health. I want to put that disclaimer out there. But as far as doubt goes and feeling like that you're living in a fantasy realm, reality is an absolute construct of the society that we're living in. So that is another mental block that you are going to want to sit with and really process where your doubt is coming from. The third mental block is expectations. There is a certain level of expectation typically when a beginner enters the world of the occult or when they're starting to work with their psychic abilities for the first time. There is a certain level of expectation in that they should be at a certain level at a certain time period, or that they should be able to possess certain abilities. And unfortunately, Hollywood movies and TV shows are fantasy. It is not real. And so these expectations that movies and TVs have put out is actually really hurtful to people who do possess these psychic gifts and abilities. Although I love a fantasy novel, okay? I love watching some fantasy TV show or whatever. It's really enjoyable. But you also need to understand that that is not realistic and sometimes it's not attainable. You're not just going to wake up one day and be able to concentrate really hard and move something from one end of the room to the other end of the room. So we got to be realistic with our expectations. And in regards to timing, you need to be realistic about how long this actually takes. There is a reason why the old sage that lives at the end of the road or at the outskirts of the town is old. There's a reason why sages are old, because it takes a lifetime to develop these abilities. What it comes down to is make sure that you are keeping your expectations in check. Things that happen in Hollywood movies and TV shows are very different than how psychic abilities typically present in the real world. So if you're wondering about psychic abilities and what is real, what is not, what is attainable, etc., feel free to reach out to somebody that is psychic. Talk to a psychic in person and ask about their personal experience. Oftentimes you will find that it is very, very different than TV shows and movies. Also, some people have the expectation that if you are psychic, you must be psychic 100% of the time. And that is absolutely not true. Could you imagine being psychic 100% of the time and how exhausting that would be? How much brain power that would take? I would be eating and refueling my body 24/7 and sleeping 24/7 if that were the case. There are some days where I get dead energy and I am not feeling my most psychic self and I'm not able to receive messages, and there are some days where I am really on point and I am receiving those messages a lot. Now, when you work on developing your psychic abilities, eventually you will get to this point where you can turn your psychic abilities on and off at will, which is really, really helpful because there are certain situations where you don't want to be psychic in that moment and you want to be physically present. And then there are other situations where you want to turn that psychic energy on and really utilize that power. But psychic abilities, it takes a lot of energy. It is a huge energy expenditure. So to expect somebody who's psychic to be psychic 100% of the time is just unrealistic. I'm pretty sure we would have massive mental health problems and massive physical problems if we tried to exercise our psychic abilities 100% of the time. So that is definitely not realistic. I just wanted to put that out there. It is one of the frustrating things, you know, when somebody, as an outsider who doesn't know much about psychic abilities, when they meet a psychic person, they automatically go, well, read my mind. Can you read what I'm thinking right now? And first of all, every psychic's different. Not every psychic can read minds. There are a million different psychic abilities out there. And second of all, do they even want to? Most times we have our psychic abilities turned off to save our energy for when it actually really matters. I don't want to walk around, you know, feeling everyone's feelings and thoughts and stuff all day long. No, thank you. That is way too much energy expenditure. So really, you'll have to get to this point where you're able to turn it on and off at will. And that brings me to my next point of when you are not as experienced with your psychic abilities, sometimes It can just turn on randomly when you don't want it to turn on, or you just have random moments where all these messages are coming in, or say you work with spirits, you have random spirit communications, and that can become really exhausting. So I encourage you to work on your development, work on your psychic abilities, so you can get to the point where you can turn it on and off at will. And that, by the way, is always a work in progress. I've been doing this for years and I still am not perfect when it comes to turning it on and off. Sometimes I get garbled messages, sometimes it just comes in without me asking for it and I have to actively turn it off, and then sometimes I try to turn it on and sometimes it's just not there. So even though I feel pretty confident in my abilities now, there are some abilities obviously that are more developed than others, there are still moments where I'm not perfect, and it's going to take a lifetime to get there, to get to that level of perfection, if perfection even exists. So expectations was definitely something that I wanted to discuss. But now that we have discussed all of these mental blocks, let's move on to how you can actually develop your psychic abilities once you've removed those mental blocks that are holding you back. The first thing that you can do to start improving your psychic abilities is by getting a regular practice of meditation. We're going to start out with the bare basics here. That's why this is listed as number 1, because this is something that you absolutely need to incorporate into your daily life. Meditation allows you to be able to enter altered states of consciousness or trance, and it also allows you to be able to slip in between these brainwave states at will, which is exactly what you want to be able to receive messages depending on what your psychic ability is, that is, but you're going to want to be in altered states of consciousness, or at least in a really relaxed state, in order to get those messages, whatever those messages end up looking like for you. And the reason why a relaxation state is so important is because when our conscious mind is turned on, I've talked about this in some of my previous videos, but when our conscious mind is turned on, our conscious mind is called our rational mind, because it rationally explains the world around us. It gives us a reason for why everything is the way it is. And unfortunately, when things don't make sense in our physical, mundane reality, such as spirits or a deep sense of knowing and intuition, etc., anything, regarding psychic abilities, when these things don't make sense in our physical, practical reality, our conscious mind, our rational mind, filters out those messages because it doesn't match up with our preconceived notion of what reality is. It is really incredible if you look at the studies of this. There will actually be studies of people not physically seeing certain things that are right in front of their face because they're not looking for it, and because they've conditioned themselves, or there has been societal conditioning, etc., that has filtered out those messages. So the first step to tapping into your psychic abilities is to turn that rational mind off, or at least turn it down just a little bit. And the way you do that is through meditation and entering those altered states of consciousness or trance, or however else you want to call it. Another thing that meditation does is it grows your corpus callosum, which is incredible. So you have your left hemisphere and your right hemisphere, and in the center of that there is a piece of your brain called the corpus callosum. And meditation has been proven to actually grow that corpus callosum in size. Your brain is like a muscle, and the more that you use it, or I guess in different ways that you use it, you can actually grow it like a muscle. And with an increased size of a corpus callosum, there seems to be a better exchange between the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere, talking to each other and working together a lot more easily. People are a lot more successful in whatever endeavors they do if the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere are working together and able to process things quicker. The synapses are quicker, everything's just happening at a faster pace. It's kind of like, those moments where you're in a state of flow and everything just comes so easily, and you're like, man, I'm having a really good day. I am just on point right now. My brain is firing at all cylinders. I feel like I'm having a really genius day right now. Everybody has those good days, and that is what your brain could be like all the time if you meditate regularly. And I'm talking meditation every single day. Nobody wants to meditate. I understand. Meditation's hard. There are a lot of people that are like, I can't meditate because I can't clear my mind and it's hard. Me too. Me too. Nobody said meditation was easy. It is definitely something that you have to practice, and be really disciplined with in order to build a meditative practice. Now, when it comes to actually performing meditation, if you are a beginner, you don't have to do the traditional style of meditation. You absolutely do not have to sit on the ground with your legs crossed and try to clear your mind of no thoughts whatsoever. If that doesn't work for you, there are so many different methods of meditation available. You can even go on a meditative walk if you want to start out. I mean, granted, you will have to get to the point where you can do meditation as more to enter a trance state, but if you're just starting out, it takes a while to develop that meditative practice, and just allow yourself to be a beginner. Go on a meditative walk, do a visualization. There is this meditation called a body scan, which focuses on relaxation within the physical body. So I definitely recommend looking up body scan meditation if that's something that interests you. If you are someone that is able to visualize, I highly recommend doing, there's these journeys that you can go on. They're typically called shamanic journeys, but they're kind of present in a lot of different magical traditions. You could just type in shamanic journey and a million different things would probably pop up as far as guided meditations go. But it takes you on a journey where you're actually imagining things as you're going through this. So you're walking along a forest, you see a large oak tree, you walk up to the tree, etc. So if that's more your speed, rather than just sitting there with your legs crossed trying to think of nothing, try going on a journey and doing some visualizations. That is definitely a form of meditation, and it can still help you get into the right state of mind. There is one meditation in particular for improving psychic abilities that I would love to recommend, and it is called the Psychic Dimmer Visualization. This was present in the Psychic Witch book by Matt Allren, although I have found versions of this exact same meditation in other books as well, so this does not originate from me. Highly recommend checking out the Psychic Witch book, but I do find that this visualization is really helpful. It helps to turn your psychic abilities on, and also how to turn your psychic abilities off. So if you're that person that is struggling with psychic abilities that are totally out of control right now and you're feeling a little helpless, this meditation is definitely going to help with that. But what you would want to do is spend some time relaxing yourself, taking in 10 deep breaths, doing a body scan if necessary, and you're going to envision walking into a room. And in that room, you're going to visualize this dimmer switch on the wall. And you walk up to the dimmer switch, and there is an off and there is an on. And you can visualize actually turning those psychic abilities off and quieting your mind and getting some peace from those psychic abilities. Or you can envision turning that dial up, turning the knob all the way up, or even halfway, however you feel like you need to increase or open your third eye, to increase your psychic abilities. And the whole meditation is a lot longer than what I'm saying here. Obviously, I don't want this video to be a million years long, so definitely look into the psychic dimmer exercise for being able to better control when your psychic abilities are turned on and when they are turned off. Now, the second thing that you can do to start developing your psychic abilities is to lucid dream or practice lucid dreaming. I made a whole video on lucid dreaming, which I will link in the description box below. I talked about what it is, how to get started lucid dreaming, how to actually control lucid dreams a little bit better, and also what you can do in a lucid dream, because it's fascinating and I love lucid dreaming. Most people wouldn't think that lucid dreaming pertains to psychic abilities, but when you are in a lucid dream, you are in a hybrid state of consciousness where your conscious mind and your subconscious mind are talking to each other and having a wonderfully rich conversation. And in most cases, people typically can't reach that state unless they're doing a deep trance, which takes a lot of practice with meditation. So if you're not so good at meditation yet, try going the lucid dreaming route instead. You might find that you are able to receive messages a lot easier in lucid dreaming. So I highly recommend you checking that out, because again, that hybrid state of consciousness where the rational mind, the conscious mind is turned off a little bit and you have greater access to your subconscious mind is really where you want to be at when you're trying to work with your psychic abilities and work with your improving your intuition. And also, when you get into lucid dreaming and you start doing it more often, you can actually make your lucid dreams start to last longer and longer. So you are training your mind to hold this hybrid state of consciousness for longer periods each time, which is extremely beneficial in training your mind to be within the worlds between your conscious world and your subconscious world. So I definitely recommend working with lucid dreaming if that's something you're interested in. The third thing that you can do to improve your psychic abilities is to work on your energy sensing. This is something that most people naturally have, at least to some level. Some people are really just good at energy sensing right out of the get-go. It really just depends on the individual. And I find that a lot of people that come into the occult community, especially within the witchcraft community, there are a lot of empaths. I myself identify as an empath, and empaths are able to sense energy pretty easily within other people. You can either feel someone's energy in your body or feel it in your mind. There's a couple different types of empaths, but that's not what this video is about. So energy sensing is essentially sensing energy outside of yourself, sensing energy that does not belong to you. And you can practice energy sensing in a bunch of different ways. So one of the first ways is with people. You can walk into a room and kind of survey the energy without really having any conversations with those people. I apologize if you can hear my dog barking. He sees squirrels. That's just how it is what it is. So anyways, you can do this by walking into a room and just kind of surveying the surroundings before having conversations with people. You can also do this with inanimate objects. You can pick up an object, meditate with it, and see what kind of energy you feel from it. This is best to do with crystals, in my opinion, because there are so many different metaphysical properties that are assigned to each crystal. And whether you believe in that or not, it's kind of a fun exercise to try energy sensing with these crystals. What you would want to do if you're going to try energy sensing with crystals is you would want to hold that crystal in your hand, spend some time meditating with that crystal, and really focus on absorbing its energy. Look at the color, look at the texture, and see how it physically makes you feel, or see how it mentally makes you feel. See if it invokes any images for you, and you want to concentrate on trying to work with that crystal without looking it up beforehand. That is the key here, is that you really want to try meditating with that crystal to get a general sense of its energy before you look up all the metaphysical properties that are assigned to that particular crystal. So that is one way that you can work with your energy sensing abilities, is by seeing how accurate you can be, really working with that crystal yourself to see what kind of energy you get from it, and then look up all the metaphysical properties and see what came through for you. Now that is a little tricky because everyone's reaction to different crystals is going to be different. Obviously, we all have different makeups. So what some people report their experience as with a certain crystal is going to differ from someone else, but it is a fun exercise to try. You can do the same thing with trees. You can pretty much do the same thing with anything you find. But what I love to do is I love to meditate at the base of a tree, and try this with different species of trees. I've mentioned this in it was a plant spirit and tree spirit video that I did, and that's where I mentioned this. But meditating at the base of different species of trees and seeing how the different species of trees affect you energetically. See how it affects your meditations. So go into that meditation, and when you come out, did you see anything? And if so, what was that? What kind of images were present? Did you see any colors? Or maybe if you didn't see anything at all, do you feel energized afterwards, or do you feel sleepy afterwards? Are you getting like a warm buzzing sensation, or are you feeling really cold? And how do those sensations match up to the tree that you're meditating with? But one way that I love practicing energy sensing personally is I love doing this through tarot cards. So a lot of people, when they draw tarot cards, or when they're shuffling, they typically shuffle until certain cards fall out, and then they will choose those, or they will shuffle till they get to a point where they just feel intuitively like they need to stop shuffling and they need to pull that card. That is a form of energy sensing. It's this deep knowing, this deep intuition that tells you when to stop shuffling the cards. But what I personally like to do, I take my tarot deck and I spread out all the cards so that every single card is available for me to pick. Now they're all face down, of course, so I'm not seeing what the actual cards are, but I go into a meditative state, taking my relaxing breaths and really centering myself, and I hover my hand over the cards, and as I ask ask specific questions, there are certain cards that turn hot and electric, and I know that I intuitively know that those are the answers to my questions. So give that a try. If that's something that you've never done before, again, will lay out the tarot cards, and then I will keep hovering my hand until there is one card in particular that burns hot. So use your energy sensing in this way, in a form of divination, to really develop your intuition. And you also might find that your tarot readings are a lot more accurate. I personally prefer this method over the random shuffle method because I find that I am way more accurate when I'm hovering my hands over and waiting for that electric shock or the tingly vibration feeling to pick a card, rather than just having a card randomly fall out of the deck as I'm shuffling it. Now, that's my personal opinion. It's definitely valid either way. It just depends on what works best for you. So this is what works best for me. Now, if you are drawn to water or the elements, I have discussed it's kind of the earth element a little bit, but as far as water goes, you can practice energy sensing with sun water, moon water, rainstorm water. You can experiment making these different types of water and seeing how they affect your magical practice, or seeing how they affect your body when you drink them. You might find that obviously certain types of water have different stimulating effects, and that is another way that you can energy sense. There is one more energy sensing technique that I would like to share with you, and I like to call it the Tendril technique. And I don't actually know what it's called. This does not originate from me. There are many witches I know that practice this technique, and they probably call it other things. I call it the Tendril technique because I don't know what it's originally called. I was taught it a long time ago, and I can't even remember where I learned it. So the Tendril technique is where you are going into a meditative space and you are centering yourself. This is something you're going to want to know beforehand, how to center your energy. I've already made a video on that. Feel free to check it out somewhere on my page. But you're going to want to center your energy, to the center of your being. And then you're going to imagine tendrils start to come down your shoulders, into your hands, and into your fingertips. And you're going to imagine these tendrils starting to sprout beyond your fingertips. And you can use this to sense the energy of an object or a room or whatever space it is that you're working in. And it doesn't matter if you use your left or right hand. I know that's very controversial. Some people always say only use your dominant hand or only use your non-dominant hand. For me, I'm left-handed, so everything's backwards and nothing applies to me. So do whatever hand works best for you. Try both hands, see which one you feel is more personally receptive to you. But you're going to imagine these tendrils sprouting out from your hand, and you're going to imagine them going a couple inches past your hand and eventually growing those tendrils longer and longer until they reach the item that you are trying to sense, or they have filled up the space that you are trying to sense. Now, this technique does take a while to perform or to perfect. I would recommend spending weeks on this, just trying to spread your tendrils a little bit further each time, but eventually you'll get to a space where you can actually spread your tendrils across a wide range of places and be able to sense that energy. But as the tendrils are coming out, allow energy particles that are not from you, that are from the external environment, to latch onto your tendrils. I know this is a very, very abstract concept that I'm talking about right now, so bear with me, but you're going to imagine these tendrils shooting out of your hand, and for lack of a better way to explain it, and allowing energy particles from whatever item it is that you're trying to study, or whatever space it is you're trying to study, to latch onto those tendrils. And then you're going to draw your tendrils back up into your hand. This is all visualization that we're talking about right now. And so you're going to feel afterwards, is your hand cold? Is your hand hot? Do you have a tingly sensation? There may be many different sensations that you feel in your hand after retracting your tendrils and bringing in that energy that you have sensed from whatever item or space it is, and try to see how that pertains to the situation. If your hand is feeling really warm, how does that pertain to the typical energy that this item is giving off? Or if your hand is very cold, how does that pertain? So you're gonna have to do a little bit of introspection with this, but the tendril technique can be really, really helpful if you need some sort of visualization to really grasp onto to try energy sensing. The fourth way to start improving your psychic abilities is through divination. I highly recommend looking into different forms of divination, figuring out which one speaks most to you. There's tarot, there's scrying, there is runes, there is pendulums. There's so many different forms of divination, so definitely look into those. See if there's one in particular that calls out to you, because you're going to want to start practicing on other people. I mean, in the beginning, you'll obviously want to practice on yourself, but when you are performing your divination, this gives you an opportunity to exercise your intuition, exercise your psychic abilities a little bit, and also become more accurate. See how accurate you can actually get. So when you get to a point where you feel comfortable not just doing readings on yourself, but doing readings for other people, ask for feedback. Have them give you feedback on how accurate or not accurate that reading was. And also, I just want to say, everyone's inaccurate sometimes. If a psychic tells you that they are correct 100% of the time, they are lying. They are lying. So even the most seasoned psychics sometimes don't get it 100% correct. That is just, let's put that expectation out the door, okay? So if you're not accurate, that's okay. Allow yourself to be a beginner, as I've mentioned previously, and over time you will naturally become more accurate as time goes on. You can work up from 50% to 99%. So definitely pick a form of divination and start practicing on other people. And again, ask for that feedback, because that feedback is so important for you to understand how consistent you are getting with your psychic abilities. The fifth and final thing that you can start doing to improve your psychic abilities is through psychic affirmations. We know of positive affirmations, typically, most people know of that term, and how affirmations have been proven to change our psyche through neuroplasticity. This is so important. Neuroplasticity is incredible. If you practice these psychic affirmations, your mind will literally start creating the reality that you want. So every single day, whether you are in front of a mirror, whether you are in your shower or you are driving to work, make sure that you are saying these psychic affirmations to yourself. You can say things such as, I am psychic. I receive accurate information. My psychic abilities are growing every single day. So I encourage you to come up with as many psychic affirmations as you can come up with and say them to yourself every single day. And that concludes this video. We have talked about the 5 things that you can do to improve your psychic abilities, as well as some mental blockages you may want to work with. And again, let me know in the comments below if you would like a video on all the different psychic abilities that are available for an individual to experience. And I'd love to hear in the comments what your personal experience is. I always love to hear about people with their psychic gifts. Where are you on your journey? What psychic gifts do you feel like you possess or that you're really good at? Let's have a conversation about it, because that's one of my favorite things. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a blessed day, and I'll see you in a video very soon. Bye.